Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon session. Our stage is set for the second panel discussion. The topic for the second panel discussion is ensuring affordable and accessible education to all, regardless of geographical or socioeconomic background. We now transition to our discussion. Let's engage in stimulating conversations as we explore any innovative ideas and strategies to shape the future of education collaboratively. Kindly note that the panel discussion floor will be open for question answer session later. May I take this opportunity to introduce our panelists for today? To start with Ms. Sushila Santosh, Director, Vishwa Vidyapeeth Group of Schools. Ma'am, can we have you on stage? She would be our moderator for the session. May I invite Dr. Nafisa Ahmed, Director, Presidency Group of Institutions. Ma'am, may we have you on stage for our panel discussion? May I also invite Ms. Harshita Kumar, Dean, National Public School, JP Nagar and Varthur, Bengaluru. I would also like to invite Mr. Manas Mehrotra, Trustee, Greenwood High English School and Chief Mentor of Kara for Kids. May I take this opportunity to invite Ms. Shrisha Mohandos, co-founder, Ruh Continuum Schools, Coimbatore. Please welcome on stage Ms. Noreen Fazal, co-founder, CEO and managing trustee of Inventure Academy, Bengaluru. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists on stage? May I request Ms. Sushila Santosh to start the session as she is our moderator. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries who are present here on the dais and off the dais, to the organizers. As we all have heard from the MC of today, the topic for the present panel is ensuring affordable and accessible education to all, regardless of geographical and socio-economical background. I think this topic is quite interesting, wherein which in a country like ours, which is diverse with the various cultural backgrounds and the geographical backgrounds, we need to check how best we can cater education to everyone. We felt instead of having questionnaire session in this panel to take individual opinions, because each one of us in the education industry are doing lot many things other than catering education only to our school students. So let's hear from each of the panelists. Okay. Please come here. No, thank you, ma'am. So we will hear from each one of them what is their opinion, and then we'll have the questionnaire from the group also and the suggestions from the group also. Let's start from Mr. Manas, because you're the only male person. We'll give first preference to you. So you can start with your suggestions if you have any.
A place where I'm not have the majority. Yeah. So let me start on a note on with the real examples. Usually I visit a lot of schools in a year. I usually do try to make a point that I see at least 75 to 100 schools, and these are not only schools which are with aided, they are sometimes also schools which are unaided, which are run with different motives and with thought processes. So when you visit schools, you try to get a lot of understanding on what is the culture behind it, what is the story behind it, why they are running it, and the things which goes right and the wrong in those things. And those itself are very big learnings as a lessons. When you see, such things happening, it gets, your understandings becomes much more stronger from those lines of what is working and what is not working. Where the government has to come in and infuse things and make things possible. You have plans which the government do introduce, but the right execution of those plans also matters a lot. And I think the biggest challenges which are being faced today is not the plan, but the execution on the plans, the funds which needs to go in, uh, the political differences between central and the states. Those are the areas where it get deepens, and the issues get built on. And another thing is on the perspective of schools. Just yesterday I was in Chennai, and I visited a school. It's running a state board, and it's in the heart of the city, but doesn't have students, hardly some 100 students with a capacity of 3,000. And simple, the reason being is the kids don't, or the parents don't want today the state board. They are more happy with a CBSE or an ICSC. But those decisions are not being taken to move them in that direction. So it's very important that we should look at schools which are at least in tier 1 and are having a state board today, and there are parents who want good CBSE, ICSE schools. If we have that kind of options coming from the government, it will make a lot of difference, and the demands for the state schools will really go up.
Hi, do we have the slide deck ready, please, or should I just pass on and come back? If you could start, please. I have a slide deck, so if you don't mind. Thank you.
Harshita will take it forward. Namaste, everyone. I have a small insight on having an accessible education and affordable education to these underprivileged kids. It's a small initiative probably all the schools can adopt, wherein you involve your students, your school students itself, to teach those underprivileged kids on Saturdays and make it a compulsory program for them, and involve the students in the curriculum making also, so that they have access to explore their mindset of how to go about teaching them, and count how blessed they are to have accessibility to such good education facilities. And the whole mindset, those underprivileged kids come with the mindset that, okay, they're getting to learn something today new, and they're very eager to learn, and they tend to learn a small concept in a less span of time, and they actually master the concept, which actually amuses our students, and that's a takeaway for our students, and they feel happy going back home saying that they have been able to contribute some sort of giveaway for those small students. And probably we can have an after school. Like you said, education need not be only academics. Since our schools are blessed with good sports facilities, you can have an after school program for them where they have access to your sports infrastructure. They come down, they practice or a particular sport. Probably they might end up winning anything at the national level for you. It's not only academics, because the students might not be interested in academics because they don't have the right environment for it. Probably they'll excel wonderfully in sports too. I think that's something which all of us could probably take a step, and it might look small at this level, but when we actually start practicing it, it goes to a very great extent, and that's something which we have been following it from past 2 years, and it's actually got us wonderful results, and those children are very happy with it.
You can go ahead and give your opinion.
This is brilliant, Harshita, what you shared. I'm Srisha, by the way, everyone, and I have the privilege of representing SSVM institutions today. And I must say, with so many years of experience that the SSVM institutions have gone through, one big inspiration that I've had from my mom, Dr. Manimekla Mohan, is right from the day one of when the school started, there was always an opportunity for, whether it is, because today we're talking about inclusivity and talking about different socioeconomic backgrounds or children coming from different, abilities at the same time. So when school started at that point in 1997, the very first batch of kids were differently able children. At the same time, we had regular children also coming in, but they were instantly offered free education at that point of time, and that's been a practice that's carried even until right now. At least up to 50 to 100 children receive on a yearly basis free education, where they can come in to a regular schooling system and at the same time experience education of good quality. And if you see in our country, we have most of the private schools are functioning today only because parents and the society and the families are really looking up for quality standards in education. And that's something, like you said, at a government level or at a larger societal level or politically, it might not be possible instantly, but 73% of those people who are choosing to come to private schools come because they want quality education. And there are a lot of people who are, now if we're talking about lower economic group or economically weaker sections in the society, there should be, let's say, and their annual income should be less than 3.5 lakhs or something like that. So in that case, I think as schools, if we can have a smaller percentage of our total enrollment, that can be a balanced number that we can take as part of our admissions policy, and see that we can give a need-based scholarship, whether it is 100% scholarship or a 50% scholarship, or looking at their economic background, at the same time seeing if they really understand what kind of program that's offered, and if they're really looking to thrive in such learning environments, whether it's a CBSE curriculum or a matriculation curriculum or international curriculum. Children of these this part of the society should also have access to that kind of education, and that's where we come in terms of providing that inclusivity. Plus, number two, I had a good, I must say, I had an opportunity to visit many schools abroad, and particularly the schools in the United States. I was quite impressed by the charter school system and the public-private partnership schools model. They call it the PPPs. And I was really looking forward to something in our country where we can have a low-cost private school model in collaboration with the private organizations and private schools that can manage probably government schools or help manage certain government schools, and that kind of a collaboration would be an ideal sort of situation for us to look up to. And even private organizations looking up to do CSR activities with government-aided institutions can have more students across different parts of the country, at least to access with a minimal cost, but at least good quality in terms of their resources, their teachers, and whatever we could offer in that particular area. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And now you will be speaking, ma'am, Dr. Nafisa. You can share your thoughts on how to make the education system accessible and affordable.
Hello. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. First of all, I would like to thank Education Today. I sincerely express my gratitude for inviting me to be a speaker on this distinguished panel. And it's an honor to be able to share this platform with all of you fellow experts. Enough and more has been said about how education is the cornerstone of for a nation's success, and how it promotes inclusive growth and global competitiveness and all of that. But having said that, we are presented with myriad obstacles and challenges. We're caught in an intersection, like a crossroads between progress and persistent set of challenges. And having said that, we've made significant strides from where we were to where we are today. Literacy rates have improved across in the country, but where we really need to focus on is, getting the topic that we speak about, greater access to affordable and quality education. Just a couple of days ago, I read an article in the newspaper that our Honorable Prime Minister has now sanctioned a cabinet approval for, setting up of around 86 Kendra Vidyalayas across the country and 28 Nava Vidyalayas. So that's a great move, I think, in terms of making it more accessible. There are a lot of challenges that we see. First of all, the commute. There is a great divide between the rural and urban, schools and education system. Uh, there is inconsistency in the quality, not just in terms of infrastructure. We know about infrastructure, the poor, the sanitation, the basic resources, manpower, teachers, and all of that. Enough and more has been said, read, discussed, debated, all about that. We all know that. But what really is, what calls for greater action is, I could think about is greater public spending on the part of the government. Probably in the past, whatever budget that was allocated for education system in India, I think it wasn't fully utilized. And today, if an edupreneur like us, we have to set up a school. We know the huge investment that involves in setting up. First of all, when it comes to acquisition of land, to sanctioning of approvals, and it is not an easy process. So what we really would appeal for is ease of entry norms when we enter into setting up an educational institute. Besides that, like we already spoke about greater public-private partnerships, that will really help, of course. We've also spoken about leveraging technology so that we penetrate deep into the rural and areas where we can make it more accessible, but that again presents challenges. It talks about internet connectivity, and we're not sure that everybody has devices to be able to access online education. I do applaud the government efforts when it comes to, for example, in the pandemic, we did see that a lot of initiatives by the government, whether it's the Vidya Gama scheme or the Diksha portal that we've all used today. But again, if you do not have devices, and if you're not able to penetrate through the rural areas and make sure that everybody has access to devices and internet and all of that, it's again a fail. So firstly, I think we should improve our digital infrastructure, mostly in the rural areas. We need to really strengthen that. And another big challenge that we all know very, very well is teacher training. Adequate quality teachers is a big, big challenge. We really need to focus on teacher training. And I also spoke about how the government should ease norms for private schools when they have to set up educational institutes themselves. Besides that, I think basically, I would like to say that the government has to play a collective, it calls for collective action, and the government has to play a decisive role in involving all stakeholders. It's a shared responsibility. It's a shared responsibility between the government, between us, like private sectors, and the students, the parents, stakeholders, everybody. It is a shared responsibility, and if we all collaborate and understand the shared vision, I'm sure we can do a lot to make sure that education reaches the full potential that NEP has enshrined in its objectives. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Education Today for inviting all of us, and thank you so much for sharing this panel. Until this morning, I was trying to figure out what to say because I was hoping there'd be some prompts and questions. And when they went, I figured, and I'm glad you did that, because I figured what we'd do is we'd share a case study of what InVenture Academy has been doing for the last 5 years. How many of you are heads of schools or owners of schools? Could I just see a show of hands, please? Private schools, unaided schools? How many of you are teachers, also with a leadership position, and how many of you are teachers without a leadership position per se, a formal leadership role? Okay, so we're speaking to people who have the authority to take decisions here. That's good. So when I think back to my childhood, there was a quote that I read, which was actually said in 1882, which I think really captures India very well. And it went something like this. It said, if I were to look the whole world for the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty, I would look to India. The many bright dreams to be dreamt about India, the many bright deeds to be done, if only you would do them. How many of you have heard that? Max Muller? And that started my journey in education. India as a country has the largest population in the world. We have the largest school-going population in the world. we have the largest working population in the world. You've all heard the word demographic dividend? Yes? It's an asset, right? And yet, we have the largest population of children both in school and out of school who are not learning. I'm sure all of you have looked at the ASO reports. Have we? Yeah? Yes? Okay. We have, I think, 40% of youth aged 20 to 24 unemployed, according to Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. We need to be creating 24 million jobs a year, over and above the 280 million already or unemployed. Folks, we have serious issues here. And this comes at a time where we actually questioning what it means to be human. Thanks to generative AI, thanks to AI suddenly having language capacity and intellect, we're actually questioning what it means for you and I to be human. And yet, what we do in our schools has still not changed across the length and breadth of the country. Is that fair? All those of you here, are we pretty much educating children the way we were educated in school? Yes? So I think I would like to go a bit broader on this topic that you've raised today, and I think every single child, irrespective of socioeconomic background, irrespective of the address that they're born in, irrespective of the family that they're born to, has to have a right to live a life of dignity and to get access to education which will help them fulfill their potential, ignite change, and create a positive impact. As I went through my journey as a student who didn't particularly like going to school. Anyone here didn't particularly like going to school as a kid? Yes? Anyone? No, all of you were A-class students, front benchers. Well, I didn't like going to school. I didn't like going to college even more so, because all teachers seemed to do was to call out notes for us to take and to mug up for the year-end exam. I figured I'd just mug the textbook anyway. Yeah, you're nodding your head. Remember what that felt like? Right. That's what we used to do. Question is that what we're still doing? No? That's good. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share, like you, ma'am, we used to have our students going on Saturdays and after school to work in various government schools in and around InVenture Academy. And yes, we did create an impact, but it wasn't enough. And I got a bit tired of government knee-jerk regulations like Right to Education Act, fee fixation, which brings Manas and me together every now and then, and said, why don't we just take a government school, take responsibility for it, and show that actually NEP that you're talking on, ma'am, can be implemented in a government school. So watch this video, and you'll also meet one of our students there, Shivani, and I'll tell you a bit more about the school. Thank you, Mary. My colleague Mary is here, and she's going to play the video. So while we get the video going, this school we adopted in 2019. It was purely a Kannada medium school, and we got the permission to start an English medium school. Today we have 700 school students in the English medium. And guess what the wait list is? Anyone? I can promise you none of your schools will have that kind of wait list. 300 students to get into a government school. The Kannada medium has also gone up, so we've taken the school from about 190 students to 1,050 students. The teachers are all InVenture teachers, in the English medium part, that is. And the reason I'm sharing this is I'm hoping that each and every one of you will go back and adopt a school as well. Here you go.
बहुत कुछ दिया है
This is
इन्वेंशन
the
ने हमको बहुत
headmistress
कुछ
of the
दिया है
school.
बच्चों के लिए बहुत ही क्या कहते हैं मार्गदर्शन और क्या कहते हैं कन्नड़ में बोलते हैं दारी दीपा मतलब बहुत कुछ बच्चों के लिए दे रहे हैं और बच्चों की पढ़ाई के लिए बहुत हेल्प कर रहे हैं इसके हम आभारी हैं
अच्छा भी पढ़ रहे हैं बच्चे लोग हमें भी ज़्यादा क्या भी घर में बोलते नहीं बस टीचर लोग बोलते हैं हम जितना पढ़ा रहे वही काफ़ी है मगर घर में कुछ ज़्यादा ये करना चाहो को होमवर्क दिए रहता वो बस होमवर्क ही करना बोल के बोलते हैं पढ़ाई अच्छा है तो उस हम नहीं उठे तो सुबह वही उठ के रेडी कर देते। हमारे को उठने की ज़रूरत नहीं, हमारे को उठा के सिर्फ खाली स्कूल को लेकर के छोड़ने का उतना ही रहता है हमारे को काम।
This school was the only government school that remained online, by the way, through the pandemic.
और आगे जाए, एक लेवल पे आ जाए हमारा बच्चा। इधर ही तो स्टेप बाय स्टेप जब अच्छे से सीखेगा तो फ्यूचर में अच्छा बनेगा। देश आगे बढ़े, बच्चों के आगे बढ़ने से देश भी आगे बढ़ता है। बच्चे कुछ सीखें, बने, देश के लिए कुछ भी कंट्रीब्यूशन करने वाले बने, ऐसा बनना मेरी एक आस है।
Good morning everyone.
This is Shivani.
I come from Orissa. My parents migrated here in search for a better life and good education for us. But reality hit them hard when they realized that good English medium education in a private school costs a lot and they could not afford it. I came to this school with a lot of fear about government school, but now I can't imagine a better school than this. What stood out for me here is the student's voice. In my previous school, I was invisible and nobody really cared about me. But here, every child matters. Apart from academics, we get a lot of opportunities like robotics, coding, dance, theatre, etc. Our teachers inspire and motivate us to live by our school values and vision and make us think how we can give back to our communities. In year 2022, we saw a lot of out-of-school students in our community. We 8th graders took up a project to bring them back to school. We set up a small brick school in our community, got the children interested in learning and convinced their parents to get them to school. And actually brought back 56 children to school. There is a long wait list to get admission to our school. It is like winning a lottery when the child gets admission to our school. But this should not be so. There are so many government schools everywhere and there should be and there can be more schools like our school. A happy, safe, nurturing school where every child matters. Thank you.
Yeah. Imagine. So we had our first batch of SSLC students. So the government had only given us permission up to grade 7. That became grade 8. These students went to another government school and they so disliked it that they demanded to come back. So the government actually gave us permission to go through to grade 10. There were 20 students, all got first classes. The average was 72% and the Karnataka average that year was 54%. Yeah? So I took them to meet the education secretary and he asked them, what do you want from us? What do you want from me? And the response was this: help children like us get access to the kind of education that we get in Ramgundanhalli, right? And if each and every one of you adopted one school and created that as a model, imagine the amplifier effect, right? So you can see the numbers. Student attendance, 88%, parent attendance, 90% at PTMs, faculty attendance, of course. And it's also encouraged and venture students to go on and set up NGOs working on healthcare, nutrition, education, and life skills. Next slide, please. Infrastructure. This is what the school looked like before and what it looks like now, and this is thanks to the Rotary. So please engage with NGOs in your neighborhood. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child, right? So work with other organizations. This is the investment by InVenture. Not just have we recruited and trained the faculty, we invest actually 480 hours a year. And it comes up to something like 18 days of training, plus our teachers go on and do class observations, give feedback, priority dialogues, and so on. We've taken InVenture's signature programs, our week-long foundation program, our theme-based learning, our reading-writing program. All of these are being implemented at the Ramgundanhalli Government School. And if you would like access to the curriculum, we're happy to share it. So in the same way that our schools have a vision and values, Ramgundanhalli also has a vision, which is to build a community of learners who are mindful of the impact of their choices on the environment itself. They also have values like resilience, collaboration, citizenship, empathy. But which are the cornerstones. They guide their thoughts, their words, and actions. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. As I said, it takes a village. We've got a range of partnerships, including the Teach for India, Whitefield Ready, Whitefield Rising, Just for Kicks. You were talking about kids coming and playing sport. We actually hosted the Inter Bangalore government school championship. I think it was Karnataka as well, right? And the RG Halli team went on to win the nationals, which was pretty amazing in Bombay. It's all pulled together by a parent of Inventure, someone who's been a parent of the school for the last 12 years. She also heads up Whitefield Ready. Next slide. And motivated by this, when recently the Deputy Chief Minister called for corporates to come forward and adopt more schools, Inventure partnered with Prestige, and we've just adopted 3 more government schools. And why not, right? Bangalore is not just the IT capital, the BT capital, but also the capital for K-12. So I really encourage every one of you to join us in a journey of hope, of optimism, of courage. Invest in education, invest in the present and the future. So students like Shivani can get access to a brighter future and create a better India and a better humanity, better world for all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Good, ma'am.
I hope all of us are on the same page of giving accessibility to the students. We at Vishwavidyapit also have adopted a government school, wherein our school teachers and students go and teach the students there. Along with that, 8th grader who gets 85% and above, we give them 4 years of free education in our CBSE school, where 9, 10, 11, 12, they study along with regular school students of our school also. And there is first batch of students who are with us. Along with that, during the national festivals like Republic Day and Independence Day, we also create a platform where those children come and perform in our campus. And the sports facility is open for the government school students to come and take part as well. So a lot of things can happen. And as CSR funds are not confined only to the IT companies or the bigger firms also, like how we always think about giving back to society is something what we want to teach our school students. As we all have grown up in a family where none of the elders used to sit next to us and teach something, but what they practiced, what they implemented, we all have learned. Unfortunately, today we are trying to teach children instead of being role models for them. So as schools, if we start giving back to society and involving our students at the school level and trying to adopt a government school which is close by, giving hope to the students of various cultural and socio-economic background, I think a lot of change can come in also. So that they understand their, more than anything, their self-esteem is boosted. Once the self-esteem is boosted, we can also see the crime rates coming down. People getting to all unwanted things only when there is insecurity in them. So when there is no disparity, when there is accessibility, then automatically they feel that it is affordable to them. I think all of us have shared our thought process and what we are doing in our schools. If anybody else from the audience would like to share what else can be done. In fact, all of us are in the field of catering education, which is a societal responsibility. So we can share the good practices with each other so that we work as a community, we network, and we try to bring in change in the entire country also. So most welcome to share your thought processes on this. Anybody from the audience? If no, at least as we all were suggesting, all of us have a dream of a developed country or a country which moves forward, wherein education is backbone for everything. Can we all at least try to adopt a government school and try to bring in change? Can we do that? Because most of us sitting here are decision makers of the school. And I don't think we will have to say that we should go back, think, and come back again.
Any questions from anyone in the audience? Any thoughts?
I think if I can...
We just had lunch, right? I heard it was very yummy. No? I can see heads nodding. Yeah, ma'am, there's people there.
Yes, can the mic go to them or?
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. Anand from Address Health here. Actually, the real challenge is in English medium education because a lot of public schools, they are doing good work. We work with a lot of public schools in CSR initiatives. We find they are quite good in many ways. But the gap is because parents are aspirational and want English medium education and state governments are so reluctant. So if there could be some advocacy work apart from adoption in terms of how could we get, these schools to bridge the English medium gap, and that's where you as thought leaders can actually help state governments in soft launching English medium, though because of various electoral concerns they may not want to move to English medium, but you could provide that bridging gap as part of the initiative.
But I think Karnataka government has given approval for the English medium schools. There is no apprehension. And NEP also speaks about the bilingual and the trilingual also. Most of them are open for English medium schools. There are no constraints in that.
I agree with what you're saying, ma'am. The only big challenge, though, is language. Getting teachers who can teach in English medium. So I visited a government school close to Adventure Academy's Yashwantpur campus, and they have an English medium section. And my attempts at speaking in English to the teacher who was actually teaching a class in English was kind of met with minimal success because she really couldn't understand what I was saying. And that is the big challenge because they themselves have learned Kannada medium and are now trying to teach in English. So I think it'll take probably a generation of children coming through English medium who can actually then go on to teach in English medium. So that is one big constraint. Maybe the school was an exception, not just this teacher, but I think that is the one big challenge, to find enough teachers. And which is why we're saying it would be a great idea if schools like ours could adopt schools and raise the standards in these government schools. And even work with, I don't know if you're representing a school because you said you do a lot of CSR, but if you're here on behalf of a company, then work with the private school.
So adding to that, we've been working with the school as well, with the government school, with struggling with the same set of challenges that you faced. Basically they're not speakers of English. I mean, they're not comfortable with fluent English, but our curriculum team has been supporting them with learning resources and a fair bit of training. And with great efforts, I think we can make great strides. And I think by little, we did see, maybe in the span of 3 to 4 months, we did see the class speaking fair bit of English as they moved through as they progressed through the curriculum. And it just takes concerted, dedicated, consistent effort, and I'm sure you'll be able to achieve what we want to.
And if I might add on to that, if it seems like a big leap to give 100% support right from the start, if we can start with smaller initiatives with one particular school that is possible, then like you said, in a consistent period of over 3 to 4 years, we'll be able to see that change, starting off with small infrastructural changes, whether it's their furniture or books that are used by maybe children in private schools but could be used by children in government schools as well, or notebooks and things like that. And teacher training could be something that could be ongoing, where maybe that particular school's educators could be part of the training sessions coming in here, or we go there. Starting off with small things like this, and with over a consistent period of 3 to 4 years, we might be able to see a big change in one community, and then becomes a village there. So, yeah.
Adding to what you also said, when we work with one particular school, there were mixed age groups. For example, if it's biologically age 11, but the class was grade 1, we had a child who missed 3 years of schooling for whatsoever reasons, domestic challenges, etc. But we'll have to cater the same curriculum to those age groups. So there are myriad challenges, like I expressed earlier. But I think, like you and I and all of us on this panel, if we continue working with the same kind of interest, I'm sure we will be able to turn around.
Just want to add a point. For any thing to happen, it has to be done, jointly, where you need an effort, not only from the private, but also from the government side to come in. There are a lot of time where, as a private sectors, we all are on for it, that whatever is needed will come forward and do our supports. But it's when we go to the government to try to make that happen is where the problems start coming in. That's what we have faced. If you go today to fund a government school and say, listen, I'm funding it for an infrastructure, they will be more than happy today to take for an infrastructure changes, all that they are more than good. But if you say, I want to change the curriculum, I'm going to run the school, allow us, they will just take a back seat because there are a lot of things which is impact them there and their funds coming from the central, which helps them to make their decisions. So it's not easy and it's not something which we don't want to do it. We really want to do it and help to the maximum extent, but we get impacted with the limitations which are coming from the other side.
Manas, I hear what you're saying, but I think the fact that Inventure's been able to adopt and run Ramgundanali for the last 5 years says that the government is willing if we show the intent. So here's the deal. If anyone here wants to adopt a government school, could you just show of hands, please? Anyone? All of us? Okay, then please. Fine. So if you could just give us your names and we will help you do that. How's that? Game for it says Manas. Great. Anyone else? Yeah? And Manas is right as far as the government is concerned, because I think the biggest challenge today is lack of teacher accountability in government schools. Whether they show up or not, whether the children are learning or not, it actually doesn't make a difference. And until the government changes that, we're going to have a problem. And I'm sure all of you had these challenges with SATs and all the various approvals for NOCs and stuff. So yeah, you're right. But I do believe if we collectively, as you said, get together, we can make a difference. And small is not enough, ma'am. As I said, we passed that right now. I shared the numbers, right? About what? Every research survey you see says over 50% of Indian graduates are not employable. I'm not even talking about kids actually not even getting to school or getting to college. We passed that stage. We're going to have absolute anarchy on our hands if we don't address the inequity and if we don't raise education standard for everybody.
Ma'am, I can just add one point. Lower level bureaucracy is something that schools have to be very careful about.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Block education officers basically get challenged if you as a leading English school go and talk down to them, in the sense they feel that way. So it's very important for you to understand the psyche of a block education officer, translate it down to how you're going to help them.
Sure.
They should see you as somebody
except
helping them.
Except there's certain things as a school we're not willing to do. Right? So basically every time we try to upload a document, they say, oh, it's not going to work at your school, but if you come and sit with us, we'll help you do it. Right. You know what that means. But we have refused. In fact, we went to court. We actually had our school delayed by a few months because we refused to play ball. I'm not going to spell it out more than that. But that's okay. And these are decisions you all need to be willing to take. If you're all happy to carry on with the way the status quo is, then please don't complain about it. Right? So we need to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, we need to bring in change. As we are speaking about education affordable to everyone, today when we speak about our country representing even in Olympics, there are a lot of things which we speak with the pressure of education, children are not able to perform. Imagine if we have collaboration with the government school students, wherein those students have a lot of strength. Their skills are very good in any kind of activity what they do. Only little bit of educational support what we provide them. Lot of change can happen in their lifestyle and we can elevate their position from being whatever they are into the next level. Automatically it's a society which is going to be recognized. It's not only that particular child. See, we can always take a pride in telling that we as educators are not catering only to the students who are affordable, who are knowledgeable, but for the students who are privileged, who deserve that irrespective of any background what they are. I think it should happen, only then the entire country can be focused in a better way. So anything else from the group, or I hope all of us have spoken sufficiently and we have been talking about, which is the need of an hour also. The topic is actually the need of an hour, wherein we have to really join hands, forgetting the competitiveness what we have among ourselves. but join hands together to do something to the country also. If we do not have anything, we are closing the session 2 minutes 20 seconds before the scheduled time.
Actually, if I may, sorry, I think DPS has a brilliant example of what you do after school, right? Since Mansoor is not here, do you want to talk about it? Yeah. Manila, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we also have something called Anubhava Shiksha Kendra. We bring in children from the economically weaker section of society and we give them free education. And it happens within the school hours. And we also support the parents of these children in terms of learning some skills, some job-related skills we teach them. Even the bus drivers and the IMRs, once they drop the children in school, they are totally free. So we use them, teaching certain sports for them or teaching art and craft or putting them in the kindergarten classroom so that they can learn English. Even School of India KRPET does a lot of things. I think they're the entire, I don't think they make any profit in the school, but it just goes as a CSR from the management side. So those are the things. Thank you.
Thank you, Manila.
I thank all the panelists for sharing their insights and topic. May I request Mr. Anil Sharma to felicitate all our panelists. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists and for a wonderful, insightful panel session?